Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. Today, we are continuing with part 2 of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, this day 62 of the continued conflict. And in my previous episode today, I talked about the ongoing attacks by Russian forces against Ukrainian civil and military infrastructure, and also the possibility that the U.S. has deployed F-35 multi-role stealth aircraft over the western areas of Ukraine, specifically in an escort type of mission, escorting the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Defense to Kiev from the Polish border. So, love to hear your comments on the other video on that and tell me what you think. But right now, we're going to have a look at the ongoing fighting that is taking place along the front line. As I had specified earlier, the Russians have launched roughly another 50 tactical airstrikes against a variety of Ukrainian targets with fixed-wing assets. They're also continuing to launch cruise missiles across much of Ukraine, although the tempo and the amount that are being used is of a lower scale at this point. We also are continuing to see Russian heavy artillery at work throughout the course of the conflict as well, as the Russians are reporting that nearly 1,000 aim points or 1,000 areas were hit by artillery strikes over the last 24 hours. So you have a variety, obviously, of Russian battalion tactical groups and Army-level assets that include heavy amounts of artillery. The Russians have always been have always had large amounts of artillery assets within their brigade formations, and even much more than what you would ordinarily see with the United States as well. So the Russians continue to operate along what we would call a deep battlefront, seeing large amounts and heavy doses of heavy artillery being used. At the same time, we are seeing limited maneuver capability by the Russian military. We are seeing that to the south of Izium. We are seeing the Russians continue to attempt to prosecute its operation south of Izium towards Sloviansk. They appear to be attempting to get to the rear of Sloviansk and eventually encircle Sloviansk and other areas to the east and of both Sloviansk and Kramatorsk. We also continue to see the Russians push towards the city of and the town of Lyman. We are going to probably see some very heavy urban combat take place as the Russians continue to push towards this city. Compounding that, we also have other terrain features such as heavily forested areas where we know the Ukrainian anti-tank guided weapons teams are going to be operating as they have been throughout this conflict, and then obviously water features as well, such as rivers, lakes, are going to continue to cause issue for the Russian advance in this area of operations that kind of runs to the north of the Severinsky Donets River, and that's that area there you can see on my screen. I'll kind of trace it with my cursor where you can kind of see it in relation to the town of Lyman. The Russians continue its advance towards Severodonetsk. Again, we anticipate heavy street-to-street fighting if the Russians move into the city. Much of the city has been rubbleized at this point, and there's a good possibility that the Russians would simply seal it off and not look to partake in some of the vicious house-to-house, street-to-street fighting that we've seen in areas such as Mariupol. We continue to see vicious street-to-street fighting, with that being being said, in Popasnaya, that is here on my map, as you can see it. Right now, the Russians are in the city, as are the Ukrainians, and fighting continues for that city. So we are seeing heavy ground fighting taking place, but we're not seeing the Russians doing mass maneuver operations as of yet. Does that mean they don't have the ability to conduct mass maneuver operations, or does that mean that they are simply holding back until the battlefield is properly prepped? We err on the side that the Russians are continuing to prep the battlefield and prepare the battlefield for further maneuver operations at this point. I think the Russians are loss adverse right now in terms of the casualties that have been taken, and that cannot be denied. Just the reporting from some of the separatist forces alone on the amounts of casualties that some of those forces have taken indicate that indeed the Russian Federation has taken quite a few losses in this ongoing conflict. Now, with that being said, even though we don't hear about it from the Ukrainian side, we continually hear about the losses that it inflicts on Russian forces, but we never really hear about the Ukrainian self-reporting losses that the Russians have inflicted on its organizations. And for morale purposes, they probably are not going to do that, and that leads me to believe that, in fact, losses are, in fact, significant. And it is bothering the Ukrainians. It is having an effect. And obviously, anytime you see the type of warfare that we're seeing, both sides are inherently going to take significant losses. And we are indeed seeing that as this war continues. But that is the status quo right now. We are seeing just a couple other notes. The Russians are attempting to push to the east of Zaporizhia. They could be attempting to make a move on that city, or they are looking at simply maneuvering to the north and meeting up with the forces that are attempting to prosecute its efforts south of Izium as well, and looking to encircle, again, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, and Severodonetsk to the east of those locales. The operations in Mariupol continue. There still is reportedly anywhere from 500 to 2,000 Ukrainian forces. Allegedly, there is also civilian populations that have, for whatever reason, are now in the facility as well. Not sure why that would have happened, but the Ukrainians report that it's citizenry from Mariupol seeking shelter in the Soviet-era bomb shelters that are under these facilities that are designed to withstand reportedly thermal nuclear weapon attack. And on the Russian side, they believe that some of these nationalist elements have and are using some Ukrainian citizens as human shields. And I will let you folks argue that in the comment section. But that is basically what we are seeing right now in these areas of operations. We will obviously continue to report. I appreciate everyone joining us on this 62nd day of the conflict, and we will continue to report. And please, if you like the information that is being put out on MFAN, please like and subscribe. And you can also facilitate our ongoing efforts by supporting us on Patreon as well. That's all I have for today. Thanks again. Have a good day.